gonna be doing in this video the weekly recap of my trades. Not all of my trades, but the main ones, the most important ones. This is regarding the week that ended on the 19th of June, started on the 15th of June. Again, another kind of crazy week. The market itself didn't do much. It was kind of like again on the kind of the range. Will bounce back, from the week before, slight drop. Um, so the main indices, nothing crazy happened, but on some of the individual stocks that we've been looking at, definitely again a crazy week with some of these unknown stock low floats going up 3, 4, 5, 600%, ending up the day up 100 or sometime unchanged or negative. Um, there's been like again the theme is still out there. There's definitely been some theme in the market that we've seen in terms of like certain plays, certain stocks, certain sectors. The generally, the play out is still, very much the biotech, COVID type of related stocks have been also doing okay. Tech also doing okay. We've been a little bit of a change and turn in the oil sector type of related things. Um, anyway, we'll go through the list now, and I will just basically close the shut down the webcam so that you can have the full screen, which is going to be a lot easier. So let's start with a quick review of what we've seen on the main indices, and this is the S&P on the weekly basis. So again, last week was a week that was the first week that we'd seen in about like 4 or 5 weeks where we had the week down engulfing pattern. I was not so sure, whether we would get a continuation, but if you remember in last week's video, I said that we're gonna get good support around that level on this SPY, the ETF for the S&P 500. So all around the 297, 298, that was the area where we had seen the original break, and then we had seen the market moving up, and we had the confluence of this level to around 92, 97 to 98, and also moving average 10, 20, and 50 on the weekly basis. So I said to you last week, unless we really can make a break through these levels here, and let's open the daily, um, unless we really can do the break under that, then we're probably going to see a bounce. And my level was around sort of like the high of this candle, the daily candle was the 312, where basically was the first candle where we had opened with a gap down. And I said, that would be my main level for the market to basically prove that we're still on, we still have decent upside and eventually be able to reclaim the recent high at 323 and the whole time high at around 339. Again, we had a good bounce on Monday, and then the market kind of basically stalled around just above the moving average 10 and 20. On Friday, we had a bit of a move down, but again, nothing super convincing. Right now, we're kind of like, on this range, and it's not like the levels I think are gonna be again the same. The important levels to follow are gonna be this level around 296, 298 level. If we break down and if we break below the moving averages, then I think we need to start reconsidering the way the move up and change the move down. If we can reclaim the high that we've done recently at 323, then we can definitely start aiming again at the all-time high 338.71, 339 in that area, and that's the main sort of like indication of direction of the main indices. If we look at Nasdaq, um, obviously Nasdaq has to reclaim and went above the all-time high. It's been like a tech sector driven market like we've seen, and Then, but in terms of picture, we've had more or less the same. The market found support not far from the breakout area at around the 237 area on the triple Q, which is a Nasdaq ETF, and found support on the moving average 10, moving average, sorry, 20, then bounce back. We haven't been able to do a new high again, but we're, quite close to it. Generally speaking, Nasdaq still showing good strength, good support, but we need to obviously be able to break through the all-time high at 248, 247.89 to keep on moving, up with on this momentum move. Okay, so direction of the market overall still okay, still basically on the upside. Obviously, we're trading on the all-time highs or close to all-time highs on the S&P, so you have to be careful for a change of change of mentality in the market. I mean, we have to just, be careful, especially that now we're seeing that the COVID cases in the States still, on the way up. We're not even like on the second wave in the United States. On the rest of, Asia or Europe, we're looking at the second wave right now after the big 2 or 3 month confinement. So we have to treat the market with care and always keep up with the overall trend. The overall trend right now is still decently positive. So let's look at some of the positions that I still have. So let's start with BDRY, the ETF. So last profit taking, partial profit taking that I had was just around that level. You remember that basically last week I was saying that my next level would be around moving average 100 daily, and this area, which was around 757, I was working a level to take some partial profits at 740, which got done, and I'm keeping a long position. Again, next level will be around the $10 area, which is a confluence of this. I mean, we might see some resistance around 866, but I think that I will wait to reach this level of the moving average 200 and conversions with price resistance around $10. Okay, so again, direction is still up. We've had a big move, like 50-60% move in the past couple of weeks. So it wouldn't be surprising to see some kind of pullback. And for you guys who didn't manage to get in, then I would be looking for a pullback towards moving average 10, around moving average 10s. And if the market basically can fill the gap here that we've left around 655, then that would certainly be something interesting for you guys to consider to get back in. All right. So the other stock that I still have in position is SE. So as you remember, I came all around that level here, around the 76 area, and obviously this position has been traded around the core. Some took some partial profits along the way, but right now I've got the last bit of the position that I've remained, that I kept on my book, and right now I'm in kind of like trend following mode. So like I said, I've been trying. Usually I will keep my moving average 10 daily as my main trailing stop. Right now I'm testing also this new tool that TC2000 has been added recently, which is the volatility stop, which is like a volatility a stop. Works like kind of a chandelier stop with the true range. And I set it at two true range value. I use true range um, the 14 or the 20 days, I think. I can't remember exactly, but these are the little dots that you can see, and they're following usually the very much the moving average. So right now, the stock is around $109. The moving average is around $100. So that's the leeway that I give myself at the moment. Okay, so still long waiting for the market to see. I mean, obviously, this has been a very strong performance, but again, like I said before, on this stock, we've got nothing on the left. I mean, this stock trading 109 could be trading in a couple of weeks at 150, or it could be trading at $80. I really don't know, and I don't have the crystal ball, and that's not my job to have a crystal ball. So I keep on basically following the market and the trend the way that it is. When it reverses, then I will just close the last bit of position that I left in that, uh, just below $100, and then we'll revisit when we start seeing this stock trading probably closer to like moving average 20. Right now we're quite far away from moving average 50, so I don't think that we're going to get like a immediate pullback to it. But we'll review that if it happens to do that. If it breaks, anyway, moving average 20, that means that we're definitely in a stronger and deeper pullback mode, and then we'll review it at that stage. Other stock that I have was GNMK, and so you remember basically the trigger for that stock entry was the curving back, the pullback to moving average 50, and basically curling back, started trading above moving average 1020, above the 1034 level that we had in mind. And so right now, the second I got done on my second partial here, and I took everything out. So now I'm out of GNMK. I closed it on Friday at 1340. You remember that last week I told you my target was just below the is it the whole time high? I mean the recent high, at least at around 13 and a half. So I was working to basically get out just 10 cents below the recent high at 13 and a half, and got done. The high was 1342 in regular session. Got done on Friday. Okay, so I'm all out on GNMK now. And we'll see. It could be one of these stocks that does a breakout this week. In which case, I would be looking for maybe a breakout entry, or wait for a slight pullback to breakout area, or small breakout of a small consolidation if we don't get a pullback on that. But we'll see. At the moment, I think we've had like a good run on this stock, and the stock in a matter of like a week or so went up about 50%. So I think it's probably due, especially at these levels, for a little bit of a pullback. We'll see. All right, and what else? Oh, the position that I had also and closed out now on the FX. So let me just basically go back to this thing. So Aussie dollars, again, remember the context. The context we had. We're going back on the Aussie dollar around that area, that cluster of prices, which was providing strong resistance on the weekly and monthly basis, all around 70.30, 70.80, within that area. So the idea was to play the major reversal warning strategy, which basically got triggered on, let me go on the 4-hour chart on that day. Okay, so that's the day that I started basically triggering some position on the short side. And then on last week video recap, I took you through most of the trades that I had taken on that. I think that so you can always go back to this video and where I explain most of the moves and most of the entries and exit that I've had. The last basically entry was this one where I got stopped at just above that level, 68.27. That was the short that I'd taken here, and so I got basically stopped out on this one. Try to short again here, just around the moving average 215 minutes. Got stopped right now on this one at I think I had basically a 30 pip stop loss on this one. On this one, I got stopped and didn't work out. And then the rest of the week, kind of like I lost interest on that one. And also, I was busy on some of the stock trading. There was like some stocks that were heavily trading and very volatile, so I kind of basically lost track of that. But again, I always keep my eye open on 1, 2 FX pairs that I like to trade, especially usually either the NZD or the Aussie dollar or the GBP. I mean, these are the sort of like volatile stock FX pairs that I like to keep my eye on. And but right now, nothing on the FX front. All right, so let's go through some of the also stocks trades that I've taken this week. So let's go on this one. So CLIR. So these stocks we covered on the opening session, and that was on the US morning session of the 16th of June, and it was basically part of our candidates to play, especially close, looking at the OPR, opening price range 15 or 5 minutes. So I'll take you through the what I did. So let's have a look again, the context. We had a slight gap up on this one, and look, we established all our areas, and there was basically definitely lots of areas of further resistance, which the biggest one, the top one, was around the $4, $4 to $4.50. That was the main area of resistance that we had found out on our chart analysis. And what happened is that, let's go to the 5 minutes. So I took basically an OPR 5 minutes breakout and came in around 166 on that one. Stop that I had was based on average ATR that we'd seen recently, around 10 cents, 10.50 cents. So, and I basically had like a 30 cents stop loss just below 135. And I think, let me just check, the first candle was like 140. So it was about 5 cents below the first 5 minute candle. And immediately basically took first partial here, 30 cents partial profits. And second level was TP2. Again, on my levels that I'd established, there was next level was 2 around two and a quarter, which basically I was working with 220, $2.20 targets, which took the second partial profit. And first set and sorry, next level that I had also as further resistance was around the 270, $2.70, which I took here at this level. And the final level that I had on my 5 minutes was around the three and a quarter level, between $3 and a quarter. And what happened is that on this one, I was working something close to three and a quarter, but couldn't manage to get it done. And what happened is like I had to take once I saw the 5 minute candles going and engulfing the previous one here, I got out on this one at sorry, two yeah 270. That's where I got out. That was a little bit not frustrating, but it's that I was very close to achieving the high on that day. The idea was not to carry the position on that one. It was really a day trade. So, I missed basically the top. I think the top on that candle was 320. I was working, I think I was like maybe like 5 cents above, didn't do it. And then in the end, I just basically said I'll be a bit more patient. But when I saw this candle engulfing the previous one and also, going back through the previous level of resistance which would have been a support. I just basically got out the last bit. So that was the trade on the CLIR. And now let's turn and let's see what happened on the next few days. Remember that on that day we had some news. There was some news catalyst, nothing like super huge, but at the end of this day, I think on the 16th, we had they came up with their results, their quarterly results, and I didn't follow up on the next day, which was a bit silly of me because obviously we had like some good performance again. The stock went all the way up to 410. Since then, pulled back again to moving average 50 on the 1 hour chart. Um, yeah, it could be in play again this week. I mean, there's definitely been loads of volume on this last week. I'm sorry, this week on this stock, and with almost like 230 million shares trading. So it might be some guys that looking for a replay, a bounce back to the high of what we've seen this week around $4. I'll keep an eye on that. It will be on my list also of follow-up stocks for momentum, and we'll see if we can get something. But the past basically the past couple of days, 3 days, the volume really came down a lot. Right. Next one on the list was Urban One. So Urban One is a stock that we've seen moving already. Like the first day that we started like seeing some action was on the 15th. Sorry, hold on a second. And took the trade on the 16th, the second day, the kind of follow up, and this stock was on my scanners for multiple breakouts, top gainers, etc. So immediately attracted attention. Urban One is it's a multimedia company. Basically they do radio broadcasting operations. And mostly what the target audience is African Americans and urban listeners. So U1 is definitely, like some of the stocks that we've seen this week, part of this theme, either black-owned company or Black Lives Matters type of thing. And we've seen a lot of these stocks like COHN, like Cohen. We've seen the BYFC. We've seen CARV. I mean, all these stocks that moved a lot on this week on not particularly any news really, and we couldn't basically find any news. It's just basically the theme that was playing out. Slow floats, people going back in and buying these stocks very aggressively. Anyhow, regarding U1, let's go through the details. So if we have a quick look at the context of this stock, basically hasn't done anything, and we've been, on since, I don't know what, probably past 10 years. The stock hasn't been doing anything. It's been ranging between close to what, $1.40, $1, just above $1, and $5. Hasn't been doing anything, and that was the first time that we've seen such a move with such an important relative volume. And if we look at the daily, you'll see that what I mean. So that was the first day where we saw some action, where again we started seeing some 25 million shares trading on the 15th, whereas the overall average volume on this company was about a million and a quarter. So we had like almost basically already on the 15th 20 times the average volume that we've seen. And on that day, on the 16th, where I traded the stocks, the stock was trading 45 million, which was again about more than 40 times the average volume that we'd seen over the past so many months. So again, no massive. I can't remember. I don't think on the 16th we had. I'm just checking now if we had any news that came out, but I really don't think we had anything apart from basically an SEC filing from one of the big shareholders that had got rid of a big sized position in the company. And that was it. There was nothing else. So it was a pure theme oriented type of move, with pure momentum move. And the way that basically I traded it was like this. So just make it, we see it on the 5 minutes chart maybe. Let's go back to, so the market had opened, it had basically a nice strong, at the beginning of the day at the open, the market went from almost like 6.25 to all the way to $18. I didn't participate in that first part of the move, and I was waiting for some kind of basically pullback, which happened between 11 and 2 p.m. When we started basically second part of the afternoon, where you start seeing usually after 2 p.m. For the last 2 hours or 1.5 hour of trading before the close, you start seeing some move and some volume coming back. So when I started looking at the bounce back just above, it had held above moving average 50 on the 5 minutes, the VWAP, and when we start curving back up here, that's when I came in. So my entry was $13.90. I put a $2 stop, which was so about $11.90, just to probably my stop was just below moving average 50 moving and VWAP. So that's why I was comfortable to manage the noise of the market. First took a partial profit here, which was at $15.90. So for $2 profit, I moved my stop at break even, and my second area of profits was here, where we had like traced my level here of further resistance, which was, let me just check the price. That was the high of day as well, previous high of day. Ran the high of day was 19 and $19 and 23 cents. I was working basically about 10 cents below that, so that was what I got out. Second part of the position. And third part of the position was in between that area, between like these marked resistance levels, 23 and 40 cents, 25 and 80 cents. So I got out a third part, the third partial profits at $24 rand number. Uh, After that, I didn't have much of a level resistance level to work off from. So I was kind of like basically working either a trailing stop or um, or thinking that anyway I wanted to be out by the end of the day, which basically is more or less what happened. If you look on the let's just go back on the 1 minute bar chart. That 16. So that was it. Yeah, that was basically the third partial profit that I took, and then the idea was basically to have some kind of trading stop. On that case, because you know the position and the trade had already been good, I thought I'm gonna basically try to really give the market as much leeway as possible. So my idea was to work on a moving average 50, which was obviously quite large because the move had been quite aggressive, but moving average 50 uh, on the 1 minute time units, and but with the idea in mind that I would be out by the end of the day anyhow. So 10 minutes before the end of the close, I just exited like the last small reminder of a position that I had, and got out at 6:40. Sorry, what am I talking about? I got out. Let me just check my load. 36 and 40 cents. So that was about 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes before the close, and that was it. Basically closed this position. Um, Obviously, this stock moved quite a lot as well on the following days, as you can see. I mean, that was the 16 where I traded. We had a good pullback, and then on the 18th and 19th we had lots of move back up. But I would have probably traded that on the 18th, but I was busy on something else, and then later on towards the second half of the day, last 2 hours of last 2-3 hours of sessions of the day on the 18th, I was giving a coaching session, so I couldn't really basically get involved in the market. But there was a nice pullback here and a nice move also on the 19th. I didn't play that. Finally, the last trade, well, not the last trade. I traded some of the stocks as well, but the one that I want to cover today are BYFC. So BYFC, uh, sorry, BYFC. Broader Financial. So again, typical stock that was in financial service sector, banks, and again along with the same Black Lives Matters or Black Home Companies theme, this thing came out of nowhere. There was absolutely no news. I'm just checking again, but there was absolutely no news. Again, purely theme oriented, sympathy oriented with all the stocks that we'd seen like COHN or CARV, momentum play, nothing else. So this stock, what happened is that it opened, it was on my screen as like breakout of like 250-day high, but more interestingly, if you look at the weekly, look at the context. So that's basically the stock opened, started breaking above all the 250 to the 1 year high, and but not only that, went very quickly above this big area above these heavy resistance, horizontal levels around like 270, $3, and then 350 and 3 and 3/4. These were big levels, but immediately the stock started trading above that, and because we had a big, big gap up, um, and let's look at the so that's the way, that's the gap up that we had, massive gap up, breaking out again, a 1 year high, but then positioning itself above all this area of big resistance. And that's really where I really got interested. Although, the, the stock was already opening with a gap of about 100% or so, and then even started basically trading way high. So I didn't want to chase it. So I was waiting for the first kind of pullback opportunity, and I was looking at either my 5 minutes and 1 minute charts. And what happened is, like, this is the opening. Was we had massive gap up. The price basically opened with a gap of about 100%, like we said, around like 3 and 3/4, went all the way up to 636 in a matter of like 10 minutes. And then, went back down and started pulling back towards moving average 10 on the 5 minute bar chart. And that's why I got interested. I thought, when I started looking at the volume coming back slowly, the market curving back up and just basically trading above VWAP again, that's why I got involved. So, um, got in at 485 on that one, and that was just basically above the high of this previous candle, the 5 minute candles. I had a stop of about 75 cents, which was like, slightly below the recent low on the 5 minute candles, and immediately basically took a partial at 75 cents, so that was at 560. Then was working another partial just below the high of day. High of day was at that stage 633, so I took off some a position at 6 and 1/4 for retest of the high of day, and then decided to just work a trailing stop again. What happened is that on this one, on the 1 minute, on the 1 minute bar chart, this was on the 19th of June, okay? So on the 1 minute bar chart, I was following the moving average 20 as a sort of trading stop. Once I saw that the price broke through the moving average 20 on the 1 minutes and also broke the recent 1 minute low, kind of like breaking the Dow theory on the way on the way up that we'd seen, I got out. So I got out here at $6.45, cut all the position out, and that was it. That was the end of it. That was the end of it. Again, pure momentum theme, sympathy type of play. No catalyst news. I really don't like to keep these stocks overnight. It's not my sort of thing. As a matter of fact, I think like over the weekend, I was also reading about some of the directors or top managers of the company that had filed with the SEC for already selling some stocks on their own. So I think like even like the insiders, they're not crazy to think that anything has changed suddenly. It's just again, sympathy move. So, all right, guys. So, I don't want to spend more time. There were some other trades, but these were the main trades that I wanted to just follow up on the open positions, and some of the stocks that I traded this week. I hope that was useful, and looking forward to see you guys on for the next morning session, US Open, where we'll cover some of the new stocks coming up for this week. Okay, enjoy the rest of the weekend, and I hope that I'll catch you in the live room. Bye.